potentially,
Right.
or some other meeting, we could vote, so.
Okay.
What about Bruce?
Bruce is moved.
Oh, really?
Aye. Commissioner, you
Yeah.
may proceed.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Presently, we have 5 members of our committee. As you all know, Bruce has left and moved away. Unfortunately, he was a great person to have on our committee. Presently, there's 4 of us out of the 5. Susan Gay, oh, and here comes our 5th.
There's Dawn.
David Mann, John Gauger, Donna Mabry is connecting, and I'm Pat Caluzzi. So we do have a full complement to do business today. Okay. So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held March 1.
So moved.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Okay, very good. All right. I don't recall any correspondence that we have on any issue for this particular meeting.
There was one from Suzanne Good about parking opposite the Royal Farm on Columbia.
Right, but it doesn't have anything to do with this agenda item.
Yeah,
Agenda item today. Yeah, I don't know in terms of addressing that. Not on our agenda, so I guess
Right.
we'll put that off. I'll be in contact with her though. Okay.
I think some simple curbstones and it could be taken care of.
That's fine. Would you just share an email with the committee, and
Yes.
we can all look at that and then put it on the agenda to perhaps discuss next time? Donna, are you here? You're muted. I just want to make sure you're hearing us and we can hear you.
She's muted and not on video for some
I
reason.
know. So we're not gonna. Yep, I think there she is.
There she is.
There. Okay.
There you are.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay, great.
Good to see
I'm
you.
not used to rain. Good. Hey, John. Good to see you. Hi, everybody. Hi, David.
Hi, good morning.
Hello. Okay, so we're on to our first item on the agenda, which is a discussion of safety issues on the traffic circle. I know that this is something everyone's been talking about for a while. And I guess really the only thing that we've discussed regarding that is Sharrows on the circle, I guess. David, I think you talked about that last time.
Right, and unfortunately, the research that I've done so far is not very positive about Sharrows and traffic circles. But the reality is that in our situation, we've got all of these 1 week type visitors, vacationers that are going around there anyway. And I think we have to do what we can to make it safer for them. And if we're going to get circles starting from the Canal Bridge all the way up Rehoboth Avenue to the bandstand and back, then they've got to go around the circle. And the circle continues to be high approach speed, lack of knowledge or awareness of the crosswalks. It's a difficult place. We're really fortunate that bad things don't happen there with frequency.
Well, one of the things that I think we can look at is that with the new bike lane, the people who are maybe not as familiar with, not just being the week guests that are more familiar with bicycling in these types of areas will use that bike lane and then be on the north side and go through the park. It may not be ideal for them if they want to go to South Rehoboth, but I'm hopeful that will help in the situation. But if we do put a Shara right before the circle, which I think would be the, at least warning cars that they still have to share the road with bicyclists, that's something. I mean, I don't know how anybody else feels.
Yes, good idea.
Yeah.
We've got to take steps toward becoming more bicycle friendly. The president is allocating billions of dollars to bicycles in the upcoming budget. He visits our city, and we still have this attitude that bicycles are a problem. I think the new Lake Avenue streetscape is a perfect example of where we had an opportunity to create space for cyclists, where I was told that there were too many bicycles going through that intersection. So anything we can do with Sharrows is a move in the right direction, whether it be Bayard across the Second or King Charles up to First, all those areas, there are bicycles. And the sad part is we're getting more bicycles on the sidewalks now too. So it's getting a little bit out of control. Hopefully the bi-directional lane on the north side of the bridge will channel people around behind the museum and behind the park. But at the same time, I'm seeing cyclists come up Canal Street, get to the corner next to Egg, and want to cross directly across Rehoboth Avenue, where there's no way to get across safely. There's no control. And every time it's been discussed in the past, we've been told we can't have a controlled intersection there because of the drawbridge. So it can't happen. So hopefully people will come along there, turn left. Hopefully they won't get on the sidewalk, which was what they're doing now. It's going to be a challenge. We don't have signage there to tell people to get off their bicycles, which would be helpful. But I went out the other day and counted in the space of an hour, I had 20 bicycles on the sidewalk, and it's not even in season yet.
Wow. And this was on the bridge, or where was that?
In town, along from basically from Egg all the way through. There are occasional people that are aware of the rules, and they know that children are allowed, and the parent is supervising the children on the sidewalk, which is fine, but it's still going to be problematic a month from now, and certainly 2 months from now. It's going to be, I just see increased traffic, and I think we're going to get descended upon this summer like we haven't been in a long time, because people can't leave the country.
Right. So I will tell you, unfortunately, the chief couldn't join us today, but I will pass this on to him that, I suspect we're going to have more summer police officers, doing just that, making sure people are not riding on the sidewalks, and signage for that. Unfortunately, we've got some new signs coming up, but they're not going to be implemented until next year. But in the meantime, we need something, I suspect, prior to that. And I think the best thing to do is talk to the chief and Public Works, and Susan, I'll bring this up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm making a presentation to the commissioners on Friday, and I will talk more about the issues, because it's a Sharo presentation, as well as, the issues with the sidewalk. I mean, clearly it's within the agenda item to talk about that. So.
Yeah, the simple part there on the sidewalks is refreshing the stencils. A lot of those have gotten worn, which is a good thing. And I remember having a conversation with Bruce about a particular paint that Del Dot used when he was involved in that project on the sidewalks along Route 1. But getting back to the circle, part of what also creates issues is how close the crosswalks are to the traffic, the vehicles, and the circle. And they're not protected with strobe lights like we now have wonderfully up 3 other locations on the avenue. And then you get people coming into the circle that don't realize the person in front of them is stopped for pedestrians. They're honking because they want to keep moving. It's awkward. And I've talked to Kevin about it in the past, where the signage is well off of the roadway. So because of where the sidewalk is, the signs that indicate there's a crosswalk are pretty far away from the cars. who, from watching people's eyes, are intently focused up on the back bumper of the car in front of them. That's their focus going into that circle. They're not really looking up. They're not really looking around. And we have this ignorance of the signage, ignorance of the crosswalks. And getting back to a point that Donna made, I've seen crosswalks now where they've double striped to still preserve the attractive brickwork. I've also seen crosswalks there, they paint some of the bricks, depending upon the pattern of the bricks, they select bricks and do a zigzag pattern across the crosswalks. There are different things that communities have done to make crosswalks like we have more visible.
Yeah. The more visible they are, the better. But that still wouldn't solve the problems. But I think you're right, David, especially, yeah, when you come out of the circle, there's only space for one car before the crosswalk. So the crosswalks are very close to the circle itself. And you can't see people. You can't see people. And when you're catty corner approaching, you can't see pedestrians as it is in the circle.
We're there practically every day. We're there going across on our bicycles. So we pay strict attention to what's happening because we know sooner or later there'll be a break in the cars because of the Church Street traffic light. But the amount of impatience is very sad.
Well, would it help any, David, if we had a sign right there on Canal Street, which says cross at the crossing area? At a low level where the bicyclists would see it.
In a typical bicycle-friendly community, the bicycles would be on the sidewalk, which again, I'm 100% against in the city of Rehoboth Beach. The closer you get to the boardwalk, the worse it becomes.
Oh, yeah.
But there are more and more multi-purpose sidewalks being developed. So pedestrians, bicycles, parents with children in strollers all have access to the crosswalks, which gives them all a controlled way to cross busy streets. And there are more and more strobe lights. We've got 3. Certainly we'd like to have them around the circle.
I can't remember. Did we talk about that at some point? And they weren't, and the chief said there was some reason we couldn't do them there, or because we had to get Dell, or was there some reason, or did we just not do it yet?
I think it all falls back upon DelDOT.
Okay.
Because it's their street. The same with Columbia, it's their street. Not that Columbia could ever be made bicycle friendly, there's just not enough room there. But I don't know. I'll send Keith an email and see if I can get 30 minutes of his time and just sit down with him and go through these things, because he was extremely generous with his time a couple of years ago when we were working on a project.
I think that's
he's very aware of what's going on.
Definitely.
Well, given that, we only have an hour for our meetings, if you could sit down with him, David, and report back to us, I think that would be good. And, he's been very good about attending our meetings, and he just had a schedule conflict today, which he could not attend. So, next meeting, hopefully we can get some direction.
Well, let me see if I can find a gap in his schedule, get in there, and then I can sit down with him and then boil it all down for us so it's more efficient, because we are time limited.
Yeah.
Well, David, what about that sign on Canal? Would that help get people to go down to the crosswalk?
There are times that I see people get frustrated trying to cross.
Yeah.
And they get off their bicycle and they walk over to the crosswalk, and then they can get across. It's very typical on farmers market days, more so on the crosswalk in front of Rise Up, more so on that one than the one that's on the east side of the circle. And occasionally, and if I'm with people from out of town, that's what I do. I don't have them ride around the circle. I'm not comfortable with them doing that. But I've been riding on streets since 3rd grade. It's kind of different for me.
Well, John, you had requested that this topic be on the agenda. Are we touching base on all your concerns that you wanted to discuss the safety at the circle?
Well, my concern is the same that you had last year. We really shouldn't have a circle. But, I mean, I told the engineers that when they had that preview before they did the streetscape, and they didn't listen. But it really is a hazard to have that circle. And eventually it's gonna go, but I don't know when, not now.
Yeah, that's gonna be pressure on DelDOT, and if the current administration's budget gets approved, there are gonna be some funds available to them. And the nice thing about that is that DelDOT is very bicycle friendly. The state is bicycle friendly, DelDOT's bicycle friendly. We haven't caught up with the times yet.
I
Right.
thought DelDOT was putting in more circles. Aren't they doing one somewhere else in Sussex County?
Circles are gaining in popularity.
Yeah.
Well,
They're all
You know,
over the place.
But
Yeah.
that one's too small. That's the problem. I mean, the one at Georgetown works fine, but this one just doesn't work.
The diameter's limited. I think we're gonna see them when DelDOT starts doing their improvements on Route 1, particularly up toward Milton, that Cave Neck Road intersection.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a trend where there are now circles as approaches to divided highway access, because they take up far less land than the typical ramps that we're used to.
I have a
So
hard time imagining a circle on Route 1 with the speed. I really.
Well, I think the first one we're gonna see is back behind Lowe's. They're gonna create one back there where you get
Yeah,
off
you
Route
go
9 and
to,
go to Lowe's. They're gonna put a circle in
Beaver
that
Dam
lane.
and 9. Were
Yeah,
they
they're gonna-
talking about where Beaver Dam and 9 is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one gonna go back there. And that is a pretty dysfunctional intersection as it is right now.
Oh, it is.
It's difficult.
Right.
So I think we're gonna see one there, but that's the trend I've seen. And I saw it more just in February and March traveling. Since we couldn't go skiing, we got in the car and went places, and there are more and more of them.
Right.
They're picking up speed. So I think that our circle is something we're gonna have to deal with for the foreseeable future. We're not in a budgetary position where we can take out the wall, take out the lighthouse. None of those things can happen.
Well, I
So-
don't, honestly, I don't frankly have ever seen that happen.
The lighthouse is a replica of a replica
Oh, I know.
that has historic significance to the area. And when you sit there and look at it, the lighthouse is not the problem because people aren't looking there. They're looking at
Right.
the car in front of them. You just have to sit there and look at their eyes. It's never in their field of view.
Well, and folks, you know, with the circle, it's only going to get extremely worse if clear space goes in there. I mean, that is a huge problem. What kind of problem, if we're worried about the circle now, and we're worried about in the daytime, what's going to happen to the circle if clear space is there and if it's at night? I mean,
And you'll have people parking in the neighborhoods, walking across Rehoboth Avenue to get there.
Right.
Right.
So
and they'll be going catty corner from clear space to Rise and Egg, and and you cannot see pedestrians. And
Is there a parking garage for the clear space?
no,
No,
there's no requirement for parking because they split the building into two buildings.
yeah, they're acting like it's
I think if parking was there, it would be a real issue. I mean, I think complicate things even more, but.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be the local streets. And the question I keep asking is, clear space is in existence now. Where do the people that go there walk? Are they driving there and parking downtown?
But David, you know what to think about that is, think about the closest intersection to where clear space is now. That is Baltimore and First Street. And look how everybody has to crawl through that intersection. Everybody,
it's
that's
very
one of the
tight.
worst intersections. And so I envision that traffic pattern is going to be transferred to the circle. That pattern of lots of pedestrians and people having to crawl through the intersection, that's what's going to happen at the circle if clear space goes in there. And if they had parking, if you had a facility that large And if they provided underground parking for their patrons, you keep the pedestrians off the street. And you would keep the riskiest part of the problem off the street.
Well,
But
we all know now those pedestrians are going to be on the street. 100% of them are going to be on the street. They're going to be on the
No, this-
sidewalk. They're going to
Right.
be on the street.
Right. And with, no, it's a lot of clear spaces traffic is going to be transferred from Baltimore and First Street down to the traffic. So people, they'll look for restaurants closer by. They'll, more things develop. There's Rise that's very popular already. People be going back and forth to Rise before and after performances.
So the museum district of the city is going to become busier.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And I think this season is going to give us a real taste of what, what's going to happen or what can happen, because I think you're right. And there we're going to have people will be descending upon Rehoboth Beach because they can't travel internationally or any place else easily these days because of COVID. And also there are just more people coming with Biden. We're now on the map.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're on the map, but now we're really on the map.
Yes. Now we
But
really are on the map.
But I think we should, if we're worried about it now, and we're talking about this, and we're as things are now, imagine when they start construction for Clear Space and what's going to happen there. And then imagine if Clear Space is there and in operation, what are we going to do?
We have an opportunity. So we have an opportunity to be proactive. So we should make this a focus downstream.
Yes.
The possible traffic benefit could be that the canal dock is having its grand opening on May 7th. So it's conceivable, and from what I recall hearing, the permitting is very reasonable for someone to operate a taxi service on the Liquid Highway. That may become an avenue for us to get people in and out safely, depending on timing.
But
They'll do it. I mean, it's like they have to do it, just like they have to take the park and ride now, and a lot of people don't choose that.
Yeah, it's a shame that we haven't educated people on the park and ride.
I know.
We have lots, we have service, and I've had
Well,
conversations about public transportation as well. And then the complaint is, well, when the bus finally gets to the end of Rehoboth Avenue, before it gets to the circle, the bus is full. So I said, in that particular case, well, I would walk across the street and get on the bus before it goes up to the bandstand, and then I have a seat when it comes back from the bandstand. But I also think that scheduling, if Clear Space, at this point, it would have to be at least a year away, if not two. There's time for DART to react to that as well, and possibly include in their schedule additional services to take care of the theater goers.
Well, see, that's why I've always wanted a jitney service here, because I think that would be good for the local people.
The jitney service that I saw that impressed me was urban electric vehicles like the ones we see from Hotel Rehoboth and the Avenue Inn that are 8-passenger, that are electric, operated privately, a bit like a hop on, hop off service.
Well, that's exactly what I sent to you.
Right. So I think
The
that
Ride Freebie was exactly what I sent. It's electric. It's free.
that's a wonderful opportunity for us to get started without disrupting the neighborhoods where we
Right.
got all the pushback from.
Right now, it doesn't have a lot of support with the commissioners, I don't think. Do you think it's got support, Susan?
Not really, because I think partly because of the cost and partly because the people that would most use it are people that aren't in the city, but that are just outside the city.
but David, so downstream, you're thinking about,
It was just going to be intra-city as opposed to, so you'd have to come in anyway. You'd have to come in and park somewhere anyway.
What I've seen are this is not locally, but what I've seen is the 2-person bicycle people movers.
Yeah.
Those guys, and I'll use the term guys because it's heavily male, they are now transitioning to urban electric vehicles where they can carry more people.
Mm-hmm.
So they're And I just looked it up on DelDOT the other day. DelDOT calls them LSVs, or low speed vehicles, where they can be licensed. They have seat belts, they have headlights, taillights, brake lights, and they're speed limited, because in Delaware, you can't have a golf cart on the street,
Right.
but you can operate as a private business. In theory, you could get a permit in Rehoboth to just operate one of those by yourself, just like the guys do over in Dewey with the bicycles.
What, in the past, there's been somebody who was looking to do something like that, but they found that the cost of insurance was just prohibitive.
Oh,
Right.
I can see where it's dramatic, yes.
But,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Pat,
we can't spend all of our time on this because we have another, agenda.
Yes.
one more question for you. For the boat dock, where are those people parking? That was our first question before we did that. Where are they
Well-
gonna park?
So here's what I will tell you in terms of my experience with this and my analysis of this some years ago. So the boats hold about 60 people.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to be coming, so they won't be empty when they come. So let's say they have 20 passengers on there. And the people who will probably be using it are people who will probably walk there. So if you do the math, the number of cars that you think that will be using that will be probably limited to 10 to 12 with a turnover every day. But they're starting with a schedule that will be on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And that's what they're starting with, and we'll see. But the projection was that we weren't expecting a lot of cars because they're only going to have a couple a day. So to start off with, how it's going to be in the future is hard to say. But most of the people riding it are not driving there.
And my sense was there would be more inbound traffic than outbound traffic, but currently
Yes.
the Cape Water taxi is operating from Lewis to Dewey and to Long Neck, correct?
Right.
Well, not exactly in that order. The Long Neck, they're not going to Dewey right now. They're only doing eco tours.
Right.
So they're not running the water taxi service. The water taxi service will start with Rehoboth, just between Rehoboth and Lewis.
Okay.
And at Long Neck is a separate thing altogether. It goes just around that area. It does not come up to, presently does not go to Dewey. Okay. So
that's starting in May? Is that starting right when it opens on Tuesdays and Saturdays?
yeah,
Okay.
that's the
Well, folks, here we're spending all this time talking about sort of things that could happen on down the future, and that are pretty low probability things that would really make an impact. I think we should be focusing more on what's happening now, and we should try to be preventing problems.
Correct.
I think that's why, and the elephant that's been in the room has been clear space and the impact that's going to have, and it's going to make a tremendous negative impact on the circle and then on Rehoboth Avenue. I think we should take a stand talking about what we think, whether clear space should be located so close to the circle. I think if we could prevent that problem, we would save so much.
We're late on that.
We're late.
So
Yeah.
the issue, let me, having been, and Susan, you've been on the planning commission too. I was on for a year, you were on for longer.
Me too.
Yeah, so as far as the planning commission and the fact that they have moved this forward, the issue is it checked all of the boxes and they put conditions on it and they felt that this was a reasonable thing. Now we've had a large group of residents say, we are appealing this decision. So both Susan and I can't really talk about it because the appeal's coming to us. But
well, maybe you need to recuse yourself at this point in this discussion. But I would like this committee to really be able to talk about this and offer since we're on the Transportation and Streets Committee, to maybe offer a recommendation. I wish this committee had been consulted all along with this and what we think about this, since we deal with this issue. So if, Pat, if you feel you and Susan shouldn't be talking, I understand that. I understand totally that you're handling an appeal, and maybe you should recuse yourself so that, you know, we could have a frank discussion on this. And
I'm not opposed to that, but you're going to be talking about 3 people, and perhaps we're going to talk about some other potential people for our committee. I'm not opposed to it, and I'm not opposed to recusing myself, and either I'm sure Susan isn't either. But,
well, I kind of like the rest of us who are here, maybe to go ahead and talk about it.
I think we should put that down in spot number 7 as a future agenda item, so we can be a little more prepared.
Right.
But I think I mean, that's way too late to do anything.
Well,
I think
we're meeting once a month, and the way the legal system, the way the legal process is moving, this is going to get appealed for a while.
Well, the meeting is in June. The hearing that we're doing is June 14th.
Right. So I
Well,
think if we want to discuss clear space and its impact on the streets and transportation aspects of the city.
Well, if we have
not
time,
on the agenda right now, but we can certainly put it on the agenda.
well, it's
for the
on.
next meeting.
No, it's on the agenda with safety with a circle, and this is the biggest issue. Is clear space's impact, so it's on the agenda now.
But I sense that you're leading toward you would not like clear space in the city of Rehoboth Beach.
No, that's not it. That's
Okay.
not it at all.
Okay.
It shouldn't be so close to the circle, is what it should be, and it's creating a huge problem. And I'm just saying that I just think it's relevant to this committee, and that the thing, you know, I just think we should talk about it frankly and take a stand on it. You know, come to some.
I don't know that we have the ability to have a position on where that facility is going to be located.
No, but I think we could weigh in. I guess all I'm trying to say, if this committee is supposed, you know, it's supposed to be helpful or make an impact, we should weigh in on a big topic like this. I mean, this committee really should address that. It's been avoided. We should address it and weigh in on what we think the impact in the city will be, and what our recommendations are. And if there's enough time, if we can put it on the next month's agenda, and we could look at that and, you know, discuss it forthrightly. And I guess my goal would be that we would come to some idea or consensus, and that we might send that to the commissioners.
Okay,
That we
so
might
let me stop you right there, okay? Because first of all, we've got some things we've got to deal with. I'm happy to put this on the next agenda, on the agenda item, so the 3 of you plus maybe some other new members can discuss it. I will.
Are we down to the only?
Wait a minute. I'll
Sorry.
talk to Claire about this idea. If he's okay with that, I can't imagine that he's not going to be okay with it.
Excuse me, who are you going to talk to?
The mayor. Steve.
Oh, I just didn't hear it.
Okay. So I'm sure he'd be open to that. He always was looking for input from the committees and you know, interested parties. So I'll put that on the next one, but I don't want to continue to discuss this, even though it does affect the circle right now. It's not something 2 of us can weigh in on presently. So I just think it's not useful to continue the conversation. Hey, Kevin.
But we can put it on the agenda
We'll put it on the agenda for next week unless there's some issue.
next month.
That's fine.
Puts forward. But what I'd like to think that we could accomplish today is, right now, the only thing that we can do is make sure there's a share area right before the circle, and potential some signage at the circle. Whether that makes some sense, I'm not sure, because I don't know. That's part of the discussion, but certainly we could move forward with the share, which I'm making a presentation Friday about that.
Well, didn't we talk, if there's a shero in the circle, it has to go all the way around the circle. has to be completely around the circle, that
Well,
there's a
no, David says it's not really that helpful to do that. It would be like right before an entrance to the circle.
You have to have it before the circle. The spec is 10 meters. The international spec is 10 meters before the circle begins. And there's a size where the Sharrow size, and I sent that to Pat also, and I'm sure Kevin has it because I've learned about this manual from Bruce, which I've got to get a copy of so I can refer to it. But the Sharrows around the circle would be almost invisible to people, at least in the approach. If we have two of them between the canal and the entrance of the circle, and the same thing on the block in front of the Arc down toward Royal Farms, then we're at least letting people know that there's bicycles are going to be sharing the space with them, which we need to get people attuned to it. Coming across Silver Lake Bridge, coming along Surf Avenue,
Right.
all the approaches have to be labeled with Sharrows so that people know this is a
Right, David. and
city
we've
where you're going to
talked
see
about this
bicycles
already.
in the middle of cars.
Right. So we've talked about this already, David. I have that information. I've incorporated that into my presentation.
I think you're good with it.
Excuse me?
I think you're good with it. I think you have what you need.
Yeah, I think so too. So we're now down to 25 minutes and we've not talked about the bike racks at all. And we need to do that. As far as the safety on the circle, right now we're just dealing with what the sheriffs can do. Next week, if you all, or next month, if you want to talk about the issues of clear space and traffic at the circle and what else might be accommodated like signage, you can do that. But again, Commissioner Gay and I will be recusing ourselves from that meeting. So we do need to move on because.
Can I just say one thing about the circle? The one thing we could do there easily is acquire signage that's more visible. The signs that we have now are a little bit anemic in terms of their lighting and their size. So there are other signs available on the market that would be simple replacements, solar powered, like the strobe lights we have up the avenue now. So we could do something there relatively easily, just with bigger, more visible signs to make people aware that they're coming into a place where they've got to pay attention.
Talk to Kevin about that.
Right, and that again, I know I sent Kevin one that I found that was really nice because it lights up all the time.
Great.
Okay, well, you'll need to share that with the rest of us next time, and perhaps you can do that right before Susan and I recuse.
Absolutely.
We'll probably attend the meeting, but we
Yeah,
will
I think we will.
commenting will
There'll be
be
other things on the agenda, presumably.
Yes.
not much because this I think is going to take up all their time. Let's move right to bicycle racks, or we won't have bicycle racks for the season, huh?
They're around, they're available. And I did have a good conversation with Dan Schlegel from Rehoboth Main Street, asking him to poll his members in the downtown businesses. If you need a bike rack, would you please let us know? Because then we can get it to Kevin and get it taken care of. I believe we don't have a problem with inventory. I think the problem is just people saying, hey, I need one.
Well, I think we want to have the city place more racks around town and not necessarily have to wait for businesses to ask for them, because a lot of businesses don't even have place for a rack.
Where would they put them? Right. I was just wondering.
You know, I think the thing is, where can we put it on existing city property? And I went around, biking around, looking around where the racks are, where I would want racks and things like that. And it really boils down to, you want racks in the first block. You want racks by the boardwalk. You want racks in the first and second blocks. And it's sort of like, where there's space down in the third and fourth. I wouldn't want to use it because I want to go to things that are closer to the boardwalk. So my thought was, as I looked around.
Change, Donna. Don't forget, things are happening on the West End that's going to change.
They're not there yet, Pat. They're not going to be there yet this season. We're just talking about this season. So the taxi's not going to be that busy.
With the taxi.
I doubt it, but we'll see. We can put more in and Grove Park in that. But I think we just need to look at the immediate season. And, you know, my recommendation would be that we look where there are existing racks and just add more small racks wherever the city can. Like they're at the boardwalk in Rehoboth Avenue, there's some racks. They can add more there on down the boardwalk where the streets intersect. They can add in small racks, and it might just be adding in, you know, the racks that hold 4 bikes. But I mean, so rather than listing all the various places where I thought there could be more, I just think that the general principle is that the city, where they typically put in racks, just try, can you add another small rack? You know,
Let's let Kevin respond to this, Donna. Okay?
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to say, I hope you're not looking at what's there now and saying we don't have enough out there, because what we do is, you know, we take a bunch of them out in the wintertime, try to refurbish them, paint them up, get them ready to go out. We have not redeployed them yet for the summer. And what we typically do, I mean, Mike has a really good feel for where we typically put what and how many and where we have an overload of bikes. But a couple of things. One, we can always bring more out. It is not an inventory problem like David mentioned. So if someone sees that, well, we don't really have a place to tie up, as soon as you see that or someone tells you about it, let us know. We'll take out what we can and then fit as best we can there. The other thing that worries us a little bit this year is if you've seen what DNREC has done to the beach crossings, dune crossings on the north end of town, they've reconfigured their kind of fences and then brought them out. So we've lost, and those are always very heavily used. And, you know, people end up hooking them to the fence, which, you know, we don't like and DNREC doesn't like, but we didn't have enough space already. So we're looking at alternatives for those northern dune crossings of maybe sacrificing something on the landward side of Surf to get racks there that they could secure their bikes to.
So Kevin, in the past, when we did the first, we did the bicycle pedestrian master plan, we had on the streets, for example, Pennsylvania, Oak, etc. We took parking spaces and made one on one side for scooters and one on the other side for bicycles. So I think over time, some of that's been taken away, but I don't see any reason why we can't at least do that.
And I think Mike must have been here or known about that, because that's his thought as well, is take up a couple of parking spots. I think maybe a couple might have even been taken up by lifeguard parking or something that, you know, we can work with them on to reduce or eliminate. But that's a worry for us right now already. And then we know we lost a couple prime spots with the outdoor dining requests. So we're wrestling with those. I think we put a couple extra in the median, which, you know, may not be the best solution, but we're very flexible on trying to fit in wherever you find a spot that you think could use an extra one. I mean, just call us and we'll get one out there right away and see. His other philosophy is get them out where we normally put them and then see where they're getting used and bring more out as needed, rather than overload it up front.
How many do we have?
That's a question I don't know.
A lot.
And they're
Kevin,
not,
So Kevin,
and they're not
if-
that expensive. So if we need to buy more, we can.
yeah. Kevin, do you keep track of like how many bike racks went out the last 2-3 years? Do you have any way of counting that?
No, only anecdotally.
Okay,
So,
because I would
we
just,
put 5 there, we put 2 here, whatever. And we've talked about, obviously the mayor for years has been after me about inventory everything, tag where it goes, and then put it away accordingly. Well, it'd be great if we had, you know, 20 more people and can do all that, or someone can go around and inventory, put it on a GPS and go, hey, that 8-foot bench goes right there every time. We're not there yet, but yeah, we have an intern this year that maybe we could kind of do some of
well,
them.
I just wonder, because if you knew so many went out, we'll just put 100 more out this year, or, you know, 200, but not that simple. I've got another question, since you brought it up, Kevin, about the dune fencing. Is it possible that there could be some kind of dune fencing that could serve multiple functions as far as helping the dune and creating bike parking space? Like if people could lock their bikes to something that's a dune fence. And that way you can create more like along the boardwalk on the south end where there's a lot of dune fencing on the west side. And it really wouldn't be on the dunes themselves. It'd just be beside the boardwalk. But I'm just wondering if
Yeah,
that's
Donna,
possible.
I'll stop you there because I can tell you that the boardwalk committee will go berserk if they think you're gonna put bicycles along the boardwalk, along the fence, and then the mayor will also. I'm pretty sure of that. So.
But is there such a thing? But if it were a different type of fence, that kind of fence were meant that would withstand people using a lock.
We have a different type of fence because it's DENREC, and that's what DENREC uses for the beaches. So I mean, yeah, I don't want to take up time with that now because again, we've now got down to 15 minutes.
One more comment. That is with all the streetscape that they're doing on Wilmington and Baltimore, we want to make sure to build in the bike racks there.
Yeah.
Because we want to be sure to keep people off Rehoboth Avenue whenever we can. It's so dangerous.
Yeah. It's this
And
is. I'm on that committee right now, and it's really going to be, it's a huge challenge, that whole idea of streetscape. But you know, one of the primary focus is to make it bicycle friendly. How we're going to do that, I don't know. We have a design firm who is going to be working on that, so they know that that's what they have, one of the things that they have to focus on. So we'll see what they offer up, and at that point we can comment. But they know that that's something that we want, but we're not into the details. The design firm will be doing that, and we will be responding.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think.
Oh, so could I just say one question? So Kevin, if we have a specific location where we feel as though a rack is needed, we just say in front of parking space number and the east side or west side or north side or south side of a street?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Donna, if you see one, Donna, you can just give Kevin specifics.
That's exactly
What is the timetable for
Like
putting
two different sizes? We've got I think it's a 4-bike rack and an 8-bike rack, and
4s and 8s? Okay. And what's the timetable for typically getting them out?
Single-sided and double-sided. So then that would be an 8 and a 16, I guess. So depending upon the space available, you know, we can adjust and put one out.
And when do you start rolling them out after they're ready to get ready for the summer?
Certainly before the end of April.
Okay.
And yeah, this year's timeline is a little bit different. You know, we're out there power washing sidewalks and stuff that we don't typically do, and we're short about 9 guys in the street department from what we know.
Whoa.
So it's a little bit of a struggle, but you know, the racks we have to do. So whether it's 15th April or 30th April, you know, by the end of April we'll have.
So beginning of May, we can identify places where we think we might need something else.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great.
You should do that. I mean, that was what I was going to say before we started in on that, which could, you know, we were on the same wavelength. So everybody, please contribute their ideas and either email or call Kevin. So good. So I believe he said 4 bikes, 8 bikes, those are single sides. And
Single side and double side.
We have double
yeah,
sided.
and 8 and 16 are the double side. So when you request, you should be specific.
Okay.
That would be helpful to them. So that's really probably it on the bike racks. I want to bring up, as far as a future agenda item, John Dewey has applied and wants to be on our committee, and we can put that on the agenda for next week unless there's somebody who for some reason doesn't think he should be on there. Let me know now. It was a suggestion by Susan, I guess. You talked to him?
Well, he's applied. He told me he had applied formally.
Okay, you know, I'm gonna have to talk with Ann again because I hadn't gotten anything from her, so I apologize for me for not getting back to him because I certainly just had no idea. But I will have an agenda item for appointing some additional members, And I'd like to be able to vote on them immediately so they can join, particularly if we're putting on the agenda the traffic circle issues and what you all feel about clear space and the effect that will have. So that's going to be the item.
Wait,
probably the main
But
item.
wait, the commissioners have to approve them first. So are you saying that you would invite them to the committee just to listen in next time, but not participate until they get
Yeah,
voted
I
in? Or do you want to have them voted in pretty soon?
Well, I'll try, if we could get them voted in for, on Friday, that would be ideal.
Sooner is better.
Yeah,
What?
that's right. I'll try
I
to get them voted in.
I don't think someone could just join I don't think we can vote them in next time and then they join that agenda discussion
Right.
next time.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, really, the truth of the matter is this committee doesn't really have a responsibility to vote them in. I
Right.
appoint them and the commissioners approve of it or not.
Right.
That's really where we're going. I mean, I'm just doing that, but time-wise, we just don't have the time. It's a nice thing to do to have you all say, yeah, that's fine, but I don't really.
Yeah.
We're time constrained. There's just really no time. So I will put that on the agenda next time. And do you feel that you need the whole hour to discuss this clear space issue and what you want to, because you will have to prepare what it is that you want to send to the commissioners as far as input. So keep all of that in mind. I think probably you need the whole hour, but you tell me. Because you're going to be the three, at least the three, and probably more, a couple more people.
I'd like to think that we could consider other things because I believe the destiny of clear space is going to get fulfilled.
Well, I think maybe, I would hope we could take up other things too, but maybe we allot, at least half the meeting to clear space or maybe we could entertain, one other small item or two, something that's not too complicated. What do you think, John?
I agree.
Okay, well, given that, you know what we've got on the agenda so far. What else are you thinking that you'd like to see on the next agenda?
Well, yeah,
We
that Susan Good letter.
Oh, yeah.
The parking on, across from Royal Farms? Yeah, okay, we'll put that on.
Kevin, have you seen that letter? Have you seen the diagram?
Yes, I have.
It seems like a pretty simple project to me.
No.
No, in your professional opinion, it is not a simple project.
Part of that's Adeldot Street, right? So Columbia.
Oh, that's right, Columbia, that's right.
It opens up. Yeah, it just makes it so much more difficult.
All right, you're right.
If it's the other corner at Henlopen and Grove, piece of cake. It's us.
Right.
The guy put a curb in, not a problem.
Well, you took care of us over there with a stop sign, which has been great. And I did thank you guys for the work at Canal and State and Hickman. That's really nice.
Yeah, wait till you see our crosswalk on State. That is going to be first class.
Okay.
Excellent. So do you want to undertake this, or maybe it does make sense to, since it's going to be an issue with Del-Dot? I mean, the city's dealing with Suzanne on this. I mean,
I think that our time could be better spent elsewhere.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
If Kevin's aware of it, then
Thumbs up from the Director of Public Works.
thank you. I think given the recent press on Baltimore and Wilmington, we're going to need to revisit the one-way street project that Dan Miller and Dennis Steele undertook a couple of years ago, which Donna and John may remember. I'm not sure if Susan was on the committee at that time or not. But
Well, I don't think we could discuss that next meeting. That's a huge topic.
that's something that we need to consider in the future. And
Yeah,
then
on down the road.
the crosswalk signage that we have at Canal State Hickman, there's one currently on Surf, and I'd like to think that we could possibly get a few more up there at where the diagonal crosswalks are. Got one there now, possibly three more.
So the agenda item would be to discuss additional,
Saving
We've got we've got the stripes, but we don't have the signs. So what I saw there,
You want,
you could use
want
3
the
more
signs
crosswalk
that are-
signs.
that blink- You want the blinking signs? Is that what you're saying?
No, not the blinking ones, the ones like we just got installed at Canal and State.
Well, that's
In
what
the
they are.
middle of the road, there's dead policemen. Is that what
Yeah.
they call it?
Silent policeman is the traffic officer. won't
Is
cover
it dead
traffic officer.
policemen or dead?
Silent
men?
policemen.
Silent, silent.
Going to be driving down Hickman here pretty soon.
Okay. Discuss additional silent policemen. Okay, I'll put that on.
Silent policemen, I'm sorry.
on surf. And then I've also noticed that there's a spinning topper that can go on top of those to make them more visible, which I saw in Lewis last weekend, which is kind of fun. I don't know if Kevin's seen that or not. It's a spinning orange thing that
Haven't-
runs by the wind.
I see there are orange flags on the telephone poles.
Yeah, the orange flags are in
Yeah,
PVC
that-
pipe that's strapped to the telephone pole to wave as you walk across. But now they've got these spinning little triangles that sit on top of the silent policeman that are orange, that are kind of interesting.
Sure.
I've seen
We'll
them.
take a look and see.
I've seen them. They're
Commercially
probably,
available, you know, we can
they're
certainly.
probably, this big. And they just sit on top and they just spin around with the wind.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're
So, but Pat, how many, are you looking for more?
That sounds like we'd be lucky to cover all that in the next
Yeah.
month's agenda.
well,
So,
that's why I asked.
Are you looking for more than one new member?
I think as many as we can get right now is just
Because-
right.
Because I think there, and you said you have not gotten the applications.
No,
So-
I haven't.
so
I'm
There
gonna
could, there
contact
could
them.
be others, right, okay.
Yeah. But if you know of anyone you think would be good or wants to be on, that would be fine.
I'm going to reach out to John Eckenrode, who was on the committee, and he's involved with a lot of the bicycle groups, and see if there's anyone there that any one or more than one person might be appropriate.
Good
I was
idea.
aware of. Because he was really good for us, just like Bruce.
Yeah.
And I would love to see more people like that come along.
Good.
What about the guy from the bicycle shop that always came?
Frank Cole is someone that I've reached out to through Dan Slagle at Main Street regarding the rental of the bicycles at the dock. So
Good.
I could also ask Frank about being on the committee, because he is involved. He was involved in the parking committee.
But
and
he's
I
on the beach.
saw
and
his
boardwalk.
name on the Baltimore Wilmington project task force as well.
Yeah, but he's on beach and boardwalk.
So he may
yes.
be maxed out. I don't know.
yeah, I think it sounds like it. Sounds like it.
Okay, so next meeting date, how about May 6th, Thursday?
I probably can't do May 6th, but if I would have to recuse for part of it anyway, maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, I've already got something that day, and I think it's going to be partly in the morning, so.
Well, the other option could be, I mean, because our group is so small, I hate to not have you at a meeting.
Yeah, I don't think if Susan can't make it, we got to look at another time.
I mean, even though we have to recuse, I think that on part of it, I think that's okay, but there's just, we're limited. How about May 13th?
That's fine.
That's okay. I mean, are we stuck to Thursdays? I mean, because I was thinking, I remember, isn't that the day that the city staff normally didn't want us to do meetings? Or is
Well,
that over with?
we were doing it on Wednesday, but then the Baltimore Washington Street.
Oh, that's what happened. Yeah,
Thing got in the way, and so I had to change it.
okay,
How
right.
about the 11th? How about the 11th? It's a Tuesday.
I can't do Tuesdays because of the farmer's market.
Oh,
And so Wednesdays for the foreseeable future are going to be the task force, you're saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
So then we're left with Thursday, the 13th.
Let me
and
see.
I have appointments that day. I can't make that.
Well, we need
Hold
you,
on.
John.
Could we do the 6th in the afternoon?
Sure.
Like
Good idea.
maybe even like 2 or 3 or something?
That would be fine.
Let's
Yeah.
check.
Let's
I
do
guess we probably need to do 2. I could try to get there by 2. Yeah.
Okay, let's do.
You're blocked away, so.
Okay,
May 6th
so
too.
we're talking about May 6th at 2,
Yes.
May 6th at 2.
Yeah.
Good.
That should work.
Kevin, what about is there staff meetings every Thursday?
No, they're Tuesdays.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right then, fine.
So let me look at the calendar, just see if, I was just gonna see if there was anything already there. Just hold on a minute. Nope, I don't see, there's nothing at all yet on that date, so it should be fine.
Great. Wonderful.
May 6th? May
Yeah.
6th at 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, very good.
Got it.
I think
Okay.
that's it for now, and everybody has their marching orders in terms of the bicycle racks. And somebody will need to put up, you should, I think, to make your time work well on the agenda, it'll be your own agenda, really. You'll be talking about the topic, but you'll need to stick to the topic of the circle and clear space. And so just think about that. Whoever, David, you want to run that meeting, that part of the meeting?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I will put it down then for that day. Okay?
Thank you.
When do you expect in-person meetings again?
Huh, I don't know.
2022.
It's so short a time we have.
The COVID journey continues.
Yeah,
And pandemic stress is alive and well.
it
but
is.
We're making progress.
But I
Yeah.
also hear people talking about the convenience of being able to meet this way and hoping to maybe have some sort of hybrid system in the future. I've heard that brought up at several committee meetings, and
But it's so brief. That's the
all ears.
problem.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. You don't have to leave the house. So
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
maybe half and half.
Well, I'm leaving my house in 5 minutes to drive to Rehoboth Beach, so I'm at,
Oh.
All right.
which is a good thing.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Take
All right,
care.